right, so here are my rankings for week 14. The 10th spot was really difficult. I was battling between Cowboys, Jaguars, and Texans. I ultimately went with the Texans, but it's close. Really, there's a lot of teams that I could put around this spot, but you have to remember what this team, 7 and 5 does not tell the whole story. They started 0 and 3. So if you really think about it, this team has been very hot lately. Their defense is legit. It's really good, and I think they'll beat the Chiefs this week, and I think they could compete with anybody. I think they could win a playoff game. I kind of think they'll win the division. I think they're better than the Jaguars right now. So I'm excited just because of how inconsistent the offense can randomly be. So I'm really excited to watch them play. So I have them up 5 spots from 15 last week, which isn't even visible in these videos, to here. I guess it's visible if you look at the tier list after it. So next, the Bills are 9. They're back in. That was a pummeling against the Steelers. When the Bills look like that, you're like, how did I ever count this team out? Clearly they're going to make the AFC Championship again. If the Chiefs don't make the playoffs, their kryptonite isn't even, available to defeat them and Patrick Mahomes. So you really got to remember that the Bills are still the Bills. They still have Josh Allen, and even when they have sloppy games and they lose to the Dolphins randomly and the Texans, like, they're still the Bills. They can beat anybody. Eagles are still on the list, but man, if they have another sloppy game, they're gone. Like, this team has too much talent for me to not see them as a top 10 team, but they got destroyed by the Bears, and I want to give credit to the Bears, and I'm going to in a minute, but man, like, they do not look like a top 10 team right now, and I'm only putting them on here because of how legit I know they can be, and I don't want to totally overreact to a loss, but not a good look. The Bears at 7. I think they're better than the Eagles. I don't think that was luck. I think a lot of the other Bears games you can maybe criticize and say, oh, they're winning by 1 score. They're barely winning. They're not legit. They're frauds. But they destroyed a good Eagles team. Like, the score didn't show how much better they were than the Eagles in that game. So this was their most convincing win against their best opponent of the season. Easily top 10 team. I think they could move up. I think they can beat the Packers. I don't know why. Vegas thinks they're going to lose by so much. But yeah, they look legit. That offensive line looks legit. Great watch as a Giants fan. 49ers squeak out ahead of them. This team looks incredible. Just dominating opponents, dominating a Panthers team that took down the Rams last week. I think they're an underdog for, they're a real sneaky team because they struggled with injuries so much earlier, but all their offensive players are back. The only real place they have a ton of injuries is on the defense, and it doesn't seem to matter. So, that defense is still performing well. So I think 6 is a good spot. They might crack top 5 next week. It looks like there might be 3 top 5 teams in one division in the NFC West this year. So pretty cool. Packers at 5. I think they're a top 5 team. I had them at number 1 at the beginning of the season. They still have all the reasons I had them there are still true. And it's just they're so random. But last week was a good week. They beat the Lions, beat them handedly, even though it was a 1-score game at the end. It again didn't feel that close. Yeah, the Packers are great. Super Bowl contender once again. Back in that conversation after some random sloppy games that took them down my rankings. Broncos at 4, down a spot even though they won, because really, I saw what I saw against the Commanders. I saw what I saw against the Raiders, the Jets, all these weird games. Like, this team is not a top 3 team if they're barely beating, awful teams. Like, you're really telling me the difference between the Broncos being moved down or staying where they are is if Nick Bonito bats down 1 pass. Like, that's 1 play. Really? I don't think it's a win, but it's an asterisk in my book. How they win is important, and that Commanders defense is not good. And granted, they did well against it in overtime, but throughout the entire game, it was kind of disappointing to watch. I don't think their defense is incredible. I still have so many questions about the offense, but we'll see. Maybe they'll prove me wrong and go on a crazy stretch here. But I don't like what I'm seeing. With my eyes, but still top 4. That's a crazy negative way to talk about a top 4 team, in my opinion. They're still really good. I just don't think they're the best team in the league like some people think. The Seahawks, I think, are better than them. The Seahawks really could win the Super Bowl this year. They're just so incredible. Their defense is so good. If Darnold doesn't throw 4 interceptions against the Rams, we're talking about them as the best team in the league, obviously, going on, a crazy win streak, because that's the only one they really lost recently. But yeah, amazing team. Patriots at 2, Rams at 1. These can flip-flop either way. I still just really like the Rams. I know they lost last week, but man, they're just good. And it felt fluky, like random turnovers that aren't characteristic of them that normally wouldn't happen. They would have won last week. It's just great game by the Panthers. You know, when one team plays their absolute ceiling and the other team kind of plays their floor, like I weirdly feel like I saw the Rams' floor last week. Somehow, yeah, I still think they're the best team in the league. But yeah, we'll see what happens. So this is my tier list. Super Bowl contenders, my top 5. Playoff teams, my next 5. Fit kind of evenly this week. The one and done tier is so weird. I feel like all these teams, if they played each other, I would have to flip a coin. Like I have no idea who's better in this tier anymore because of such weird losses. The Jaguars, maybe you could argue, should be in the playoff teams tier, but I don't know. I don't know how much I trust Trevor. And again, weird team. The Cowboys might not even make the playoffs, even though I think they're really good right now since the trade deadline and the bye where they won 3 straight and beat, the 2 teams who made the Super Bowl last year. Chiefs I have below that tier. I think the Chiefs are average this year, and I think people don't want to admit it, but even if Mahomes is playing great, like the defense couldn't get a stop against the Cowboys. They're always finding ways to lose. They don't pass the eye test like they used to, especially even like they did earlier in the season when they got to 5-3. They just don't look like themselves, and I'm not willing to put them in a tier they don't deserve to be in. Even the Ravens 6-6 is more impressive because they started 1-5, and a lot of those games were without Lamar. Like the Chiefs have a lot less excuses. So here's my picks for this week. Last week I went 2-3 again, so don't trust me, but I still like making picks. It's still really fun. Just don't actually put money on what I think because clearly I have no idea what I'm talking about by my record. Though I will say my overall record that I keep for myself is a lot better than the ones I happen to put in these videos. But these are the ones I'm most confident in, so I'm staking my claim in them. Every week I think I'm gonna go 5-0. This week I like my picks. So I think Cowboys and Lions is gonna hit the over. I see this being a shootout. The Cowboys-Chiefs game hit the over, and the Chiefs were the better defense in that game. The Lions-Packers game hit the over, and the Packers were the better defense in that game. So it stands to reason this would hit the over. One of these teams is probably scoring 30+. The other is going to be close behind. Like, I don't know. I'm pretty confident in this. We'll see. I think Commanders are way better. These are odds, by the way, from DraftKings this morning, Tuesday morning, are way better than the Vikings. J.J. McCarthy looks horrible. Apparently, he has the worst EPA out of any quarterback since Jamarcus Russell, so just not good. I mean, except Jamarcus Russell. Like, he's second to the bottom out of, 850. Like, I saw some crazy stats. And this is a team that almost beat Denver, which I consider the 4th best team in the league. So I don't think the Vikings are going to stand much of a chance, though. I don't know. Maybe he'll erupt and prove me wrong. I think the Rams are going to blow out the Cardinals. I just think the Rams are really good. I don't even think the Cardinals are all that bad, but the Rams are just really good. Enough said. I believe in the Texans against Kansas City. I'm shocked they're not favored. I think they're clearly the better team. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't like the Chiefs this year, man. I'm not going to pick them. And then Eagles, -2.5 Chargers. Hard game otherwise, but with Justin Herbert injury, I feel like this is a pretty safe bet. Even if it doesn't happen, I still feel like there's a 75% chance. I think the Eagles are going to win, and I think it's likely they win by a field goal or more. And Justin Herbert's hurt. So, yeah, that's why I think this. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments, and yeah.